The ego, often misunderstood, perceived as an adversary, a barrier to enlightenment. But this is an illusion. The ego is not separate from you. It is you, at a certain stage of awareness. Like a seed becoming a tree, the ego is part of a natural process. It is not to be eradicated, but transcended. This shift occurs not through suppression, but through understanding. The ego's role is to navigate the physical world. It creates identity, a sense of self. This is vital for survival, for experiencing life in this form. The journey is not about destroying the ego. It is about recognizing its true nature. It is about moving beyond identification with form to a deeper awareness. The ego, in its infancy, is concerned with survival. It seeks pleasure, avoids pain. It identifies with form, with possessions, with status. This is a necessary stage of development. As consciousness expands, the ego evolves. It begins to question its own limitations. It seeks meaning beyond material gratification. This is the awakening of the soul. The ego, once driven by fear and desire, begins to yearn for something more. It seeks connection, purpose, and ultimately truth. This longing is the voice of your higher self, guiding you towards awakening. This evolution is not a linear process. There will be periods of resistance, moments of clinging to old patterns, but the trajectory is clear, towards greater awareness, towards unity. The ego, with its sense of self, allows us to experience life in duality. Through the ego, we experience joy and sorrow, love and loss, success and failure. Without the ego, there would be no individual experience, no capacity for growth, for learning, for the unfolding of consciousness. The ego is the lens through which we perceive the world. Through this lens, we develop personality, unique talents, and a distinct perspective. This individuality is essential to the richness of the human experience. To transcend the ego is not to erase individuality. It is to recognize its source. It is to move from a limited sense of self to a boundless awareness of being. Section 4, Transformation, the Wise Ego. Spiritual growth is not about annihilating the ego. It is about transforming it. The ego, once driven by fear, becomes an instrument of wisdom. This transformation happens through presence. By becoming aware of our thoughts, emotions, and reactions, we create space. In this space, wisdom emerges. The ego, when aligned with the higher self, becomes a powerful force for good. It acts with compassion, integrity, and purpose. It becomes a conduit for love and creativity. This is the flowering of the ego, the realization of its true potential. It is not the absence of ego, but the presence of awareness that illuminates the path. Section 5, Beyond Duality, the Integrated Self. The ego and the higher self are not two separate entities. They are different aspects of one reality. The ego is the personalized expression of the universal consciousness that is your true nature. Spiritual awakening is the recognition of this unity. It is the realization that you are not separate from life, but one with it. The ego, once it recognizes its true nature, becomes a servant of the higher self. It acts with wisdom, compassion, and understanding. It becomes a vessel for love and light. This integration is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process of surrender and alignment. It is the ongoing journey of awakening to your true nature. Section 6, The Unfolding Path, a journey without end. Spiritual growth is not a destination. There is no final state of enlightenment, no point of arrival. It is a journey of continuous unfolding, of ever-deepening awareness. The ego, in its transformed state, becomes a willing participant in this journey. It no longer resists the flow of life, but embraces the present moment. Each experience, each encounter, becomes an opportunity for growth. The ego, guided by wisdom, learns and evolves. It becomes a vehicle for the expression of your highest potential. This journey is not about seeking something outside yourself. It is about realizing the truth that is already within you. It is about awakening to the boundless presence that you are. Section 7, Embrace, Integrate, Elevate, the true purpose of the ego. The ego is not your enemy. It is a part of you, a necessary aspect of your being. Embrace it, integrate it, and elevate it to its highest potential. Through awareness, through presence, through the cultivation of love and compassion, the ego transforms. It becomes a source of wisdom, a conduit for creativity, an instrument of positive change. Your journey is not about transcending the ego, but about transcending identification with it. It's about recognizing the vastness of your being, the interconnectedness of all things. This is the true purpose of the ego, to guide you towards your own awakening, to help you realize the boundless love, peace, and joy that are your birthright.